Welcome for those of you who are on the call already. We are going to give it one more minute for people to join and get settled, and then we will get started. Okay, thank you so much for joining our call today. My name is Rochelle Blanchard, and I am a senior product manager in our commercial engineering team. This edition of our public engagement is focused on known issues and the product lifecycle in Microsoft Graph API. As this is a public call, please be aware that others will be able to see your name and things like that, so make sure that you join anonymously if you're not comfortable with that. We will be recording this call and it will be available on our YouTube channel within a day or two, so if you need to drop or you have colleagues who missed the session, we will make that available for you. But I will not waste any more time. I'm going to hand things over to Mabel, and welcome everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining this event. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are. My name is Mabel Gomez. I'm a Principal Experience Program Manager, and I work in the team called Windows Servicing and Delivery, that the teams that build and manages Windows updates. I personally manage the Windows Release Health Experiences. Those are two different experience in different websites. One is in the MicrosoftLearn.com and the other is in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. I oversee the content we have there, mainly the message center content and known issues content. And I work with Santoshi and design that experience, building new features, including the connection of this content and MicrosoftLearn.com content with the Microsoft Graph API. So I'm excited to talk with you about this launch today. Santoshi?
Good morning, everyone. Hello, my name is Santoshi. I am a product manager in the Windows Servicing and Delivery team. I work with Mabel on the daily on implementing new features and new road mapping for the Windows communication platform, including Windows Release Health and Microsoft on Learn. And this is something that we've been working on for the last few months and an exciting release for you all. So we wanted to give you all an overview and share this feature with you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Santoshi. So I'm going to walk you through the agenda to start. We're going to talk about the Windows information and documentation overall, where we have been finding information that we document for Windows updates. I'm going to give a quick introduction on the Microsoft Graph and the Windows Updates API that is part of the Microsoft Graph. We're also going to talk about the Windows Updates API common use scenarios and demos. Santosh is going to show some of the requests you can have and how you can gather information using the Graph API. And also, we're going to talk about other channels to find information and updates on Windows updates. Where are other sites that you might not know, where you can find information that can be helpful for your work. And also going to have a space for open Q&A. And you're going to pause throughout slides. If you all have any questions, you can pause and talk through them. So next, I'd like to talk about the Windows information documentation. Yes, moving to this slide, you can see that we have content about Windows across different sites and official content mainly in 3 different websites. And you know that's sometimes it's work to remember and go all of them. I'll assume that most of you are familiar with the Windows updates release notes. Every update we release, they have a KB article with release notes informing the content that is part of that release, and that is part of the Microsoft support site. And this is I think, the most solid documentation we have for Windows. We have information of all the features that are live there and also known issues caused by that update. We also have a product lifecycle pages and a search tool on a site called microsoftlearn.com. Before it was called Docs. And you can find information of about Windows products, when they were released, and when they reach end of servicing and end of support. We also have multiple KB information articles on Microsoft support site if you need to give technical guidance about any specific change. And personally, I manage the Windows Release Health on the Microsoft Learn. Is the first image you can see on the top right. It's a one-stop shop where we give all the information you need to know about Windows updates and the health of your environment. Be connected to multiple different other sources. We try to be a hub, so you don't need to go to all those different pages. We have a message center where giving you reminders, information, what are the new tools, what are the new service for Windows updates, reminders about end of servicing, end of support. And you also have known issues page, known issues in notifications pages for all the products in support. So if you install Windows 11 23H2 and you are concerned about safeguard holds or known issues, you can visit that page and see the content, the known issues content there, and resolutions for a full year with it there. And you also have a premium experience of the Windows Release Health in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. We have a lot of content in the Admin Center, but we have a tab for Windows Release Health for customers with specific subscriptions, mostly E3, E5. And you can see also more known issues. On the public Windows Release Health and Microsoft Learn, we focus also in consumers, issues impacting home and pro devices. But in the Windows Release Health in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, we can focus on commercial issues and give more complex workaround and move faster with our content and resolution. And I know that is a lot. So we have been receiving a lot of feedback from customers saying, oh, these channels have a lot of information, but the information is spread and you need programmatic access. I want to scrape this data. I want to make sure I can build my own reports and my own application. So that's why we have been investing in the Microsoft Graph API. So in the next slide, I'm going to give a quick overview before we talk about the Windows Update API specifically. So the Microsoft Graph serves as a bridge for data insights within the Microsoft 365. There are multiple databases that provides programmatic access to across Microsoft 365, Windows, Enterprise, Mobility, and Security, and allows you to construct report and applications as a managed. There are more functions, but mainly users leverage the Microsoft Graph API to build their own reports and apps. The Microsoft Graph API offers one single endpoint, that is the graph.microsoft.com, but also you can have access via Postman tool. The Graph API exposes REST APIs and client libraries to access data, and you can try a simple request in the Graph Explorer. That's the image to the right, and Santosh is going to demo how to use the Explorer. I also have a quick start guide, and I'm going to share all those links with you. And you have information about Windows in the Graph API. The two data sets that we released last week are not the first data sets there. So if you have checked our documentation, you can see that we have Windows service under the Graph API documentation. And usually the folks using the most are folks using the Windows Update for Business service so far and Intune. So they already have been using information about device updates like catalog, compliance change, deployable content, and more. So we're excited that we added these two new data sets, and we're going to focus on them next. So in the next slide, you can see that, as I was explaining, we recently released two new data sets in the Windows Updates API, and the first is the known issues data set. And those are issues documented on the Windows Release Health sites, both the public website on microsoftlearn.com and on the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, that is the authenticated experience for commercial customers. And you can see that they include all products and support, client and server, and has all issues with all status. For instance, we have issues that are just reported where we want to acknowledge that we have been receiving feedback and seeing social media and receiving like customers requests about this issue. So we call those issues reported. We also have the confirm the status when we can report the issue and inform that is an issue truly caused by Microsoft. We also have mitigated status resolved and a couple more. And you can see all this information in the API. Santosh is gonna show you how you can focus on specific data cuts. So if you can pull data just about unresolved issues that are confirmed but has no resolutions, or all issues that are reported that we are not sure yet if it's caused Microsoft, you can customize your requests. And the second data set that we released recently in April is the product lifecycle. We released information regarding the data of the product releases. So you can see when all Windows 11, Windows 10, and Windows servers and supports were released, the date of end of servicing, when they're going to stop receive B updates, and dates per edition too, because home and commercial, home and pro have shorter life cycles, and enterprise and education have longer. So we're also going to show you how to use the API to request data with different sets and data cuts and views for the product lifecycle information. Santosh, you have more information about how to really work on this, right?
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, Mabel, for that overview. Now we'll jump into how we can use this Windows Updates API in Microsoft Graph Beta to start querying some requests and getting the responses based on the information. So the first step in order to get access to Microsoft Graph Explorer is to navigate to the Microsoft Graph Explorer page. I took a screenshot here of how my desktop would look like when logged in. I'll also share my screen to show some queries, but before that, I thought I would give an overview of how you can get here in the first place. So you would log in with your M365 Admin Center account. I put an arrow there for where you could click and log in with your username and password. The page is set up this way with an API request input and an API response. So you type in your input at the top, but make sure beta is selected because there's two options there. There's beta and V1, but right now our information is existing in the beta platform. So once that's selected and you hit run query, you're able to see the API response that you want. And I'll walk through some examples after the next slide. Another important piece of information to know is that you need to make sure you consent to the permissions that are available for Windows Updates API. So for this one, for right now, the permission that is available is Windows Updates Read Write All. And you'll see a screen similar to this under a Modify Permissions tab. The screenshot I show says unconsent because I've already consented to the permission, but all you have to do is hit the consent button and it will enable the permission for you in order to use the API. So I'll move back to the last slide to show you exactly where modify permissions is. I have it highlighted in this picture right here. And if you click on that, you're able to view the permissions that you've consented to. Just a FYI, the API will not give you the appropriate responses. You'll get errors if you don't consent to that permission. So this is an essential step in order to utilize the Windows Updates API for our release health, known issues, and product lifecycle information. So now I'll walk through some scenarios and actually show you all a live demo of how this API in Microsoft Graph Explorer works. I'll walk through each scenario first, so I don't need to go back and forth on the PowerPoint slide and my desktop window, but the first scenario I will show you is how to get the product and specific edition IDs that you need for all of these API queries. So when you're selecting a certain product that you want a known issue for, or you want the GA date for, or end of service date, for example, you want to grab the unique identifier for that product. But to get that list, you need to run a query to get all the different products and their associated IDs. So I'll show you all that shortly. The second scenario I would like to walk through is product known issues scenarios. So how to list all of the known issues for a certain product and find the known issues in that certain time range. This information also includes the status of the known issue, so it's all programmatically available. The third scenario is product lifecycle scenario. So I'll show you how you can grab the product's general availability date, end of servicing date, and servicing status. So now I'll transition to my desktop to show a live demo of these three scenarios. Awesome. So this is the Graph Explorer on my desktop right now. So this is the same link I showed in the PowerPoint slide. As you can see here, I'm logged in with a sample tenant account, so a sample admin account. This is how the login would look right now, and you can consent to permissions right here as well, but it's also will show up in this Modify Permissions tab as I showed you before. So make sure that this says get. This is beta, not V1, because when you log into the page initially, it will be set as V1 and the queries will not work. So make sure this is set to beta. For each of our API queries, we want to start with https://graph.microsoft.com. Make sure that there is a /beta/admin/windows and updates, and then you can start querying specifically for what you want. So for the first scenario where you want to see all of the product IDs, you would simply just put in the first part and type in product. It was already there, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. Sometimes these pop-ups will show up where it'll suggest some query filters for you. So I was starting to type up product and already was showing products. So click on that, and then you'll see that you're already consented to the permission. You hit run query, and then you should get a response right here with all of the products and product IDs. So as you can see here, it's all in this code format where you have the ID, name, group name, and friendly name for each product. So something that we're really interested in here is the unique ID. So say we want to focus on Windows 11 23H2. I'll just scroll down and try to find Windows 11 23H2, and it's right here. And the unique product ID is 1103. So for these examples, I'll be using 1103 as the unique product identifier. So say we want to look at a different specific edition for Windows 11 version 23H2. We want to also grab that edition ID. So how to filter for that is we just hit / again. Right here, there's a section for product ID. I'll click on that and I'll just fill it in with the product ID that we have identified. So 1103, and I hit the / button again. And then now we have some options here. I think we want to see what the edition IDs are, so we would hit edition, and then we can run that query. And right here, you'll see all of the different editions for Windows 11 23H2 and their specific IDs. So right here, we have Enterprise, Professional, Home, Cloud Edition, etc. So for just this presentation, I'll focus on Enterprise. So you know the specific edition ID is 1103_4. So this is what we'll be using for the specific edition ID when necessary. So that's how you grab in the first scenario the specific product and edition IDs. In the next scenario, I will be showing you all how to get known issues for particular products. So we keep the beginning of this query here, and as you can see, when we hit products and we specify the specific product ID, in this case is Windows 11 23H2 or 1103, we have this drop down of all the different queries that we can run, and one of them is the known issues option. So say you want to grab all of the known issues for Windows 23H2. You can run this specific query to get those known issues. So all I would do is filter by known issues here and then run the query. And once you run the query, it runs pretty fast since it's all programmatically available for you to use and utilize, but you get all of the known issues for Windows 11 23H2 in this format. So as you can see, we see ID for the known issue, we have status, web view, URL, description, start date time, title, resolve date time, last updated, safeguard holds, and known issue histories. And it also gives the content of the known issue. So you have all of these available at your fingertips. The next thing that might be useful for you all, and it's a specific query that we have created, is how to grab known issues based on a certain time range. So say you want to know all of the known issues for Windows 11 23H2 in the past 90 days, or in the past 10 days, for example. There's a specific query we can run to grab that information. So for this one, we will get rid of this known issues portion. And right here, you see a Microsoft.graph.windowsupdates.get known issues by time range. So I'll click on that and it'll pre-populate here. So all we need to do is replace the days in past with how many days ago that you would like to see the known issue. So from present day to the past 90 days, you want to see all the known issues from the last 90 days. So in that case, I will replace days in past with 90. I'll hit run query. So give me one moment, everyone. There might have been a little typo there. One moment, I will restart this application so that we can minimize that error, but feel free to drop any questions in the chat in the meantime. Sometimes when there is a singular typo or something that goes wrong in the specific query itself, there can be errors that show up, but those errors should tell you how to resolve that information. Awesome. I will reshare my screen again. Awesome. So where we were at is showing known issues by time range. So in this query right here, what I did was I just put in the specific product ID. So Windows 11 23H2 or 1103 did get known issues by time range. And in the days in past, I put 10, but say I want to do 90 days in the past, I would replace it with 90. Hit run query and it should give me all of the known issues from the last 90 days. So that's how you would query for a specific time range for a known issue if you would like. There was a little mistake in the beginning of that query, so that's why it was showing an error before, but once you fix that, you should be able to get the specific response that you would like. And you can use any number here for days in past, any reasonable number that you would like to see. You can even query for the last 5 days, last day, and it should give you the known issues as applicable. So for the next set of scenarios, I would like to show you how to get some servicing period information for a different product. So this includes general availability date, end of service date, and everything necessary for product lifecycle. So in this case, I will get rid of this And here for products in 1103, and I want to query for specific edition here. So I will do editions. And what we've talked about before was 1103_4. So this is the enterprise edition. So in this case, we want to find the servicing periods for Windows 11 23H2 Enterprise. So what I will do is hit backslash, and then in order to filter for something like that, we need to hit the select. So this is, I put the question mark as a query for select. You hit select and you hit name dot servicing periods. Rename comma servicing periods, so that should give us the particular information. So once you hit that query and everything is correct in the query, you'll get the servicing periods for Windows 11 23H2 Enterprise. So here we have servicing periods for Enterprise, the start date time and the end date time. And now I will show you how you can get the general availability date for particular product editions. So I will keep the same thing here, Windows 11 23H2, and I will select the name for a general availability date. So here you can see there's a lot of different things in the drop down here. So I will click on general availability date, hit run query, and it should give us the general availability date for this particular product edition. Say I want to find the end of servicing date for a particular product. Same thing here, question mark, the $ select equals name, comma, and it should give you a list of things that you can filter for. So I will do end of service date time, hit run query, and you're able to get the end of servicing date as well. So I know that was a pretty long-winded demo of how we can use this Microsoft Graph Explorer with different queries, but as you can see, there's a plethora of different queries that you can run with different filters to get the information that you want. But please just make sure that the query itself is correct, or else you'll get those small errors, but those are very easy to fix. And as you can see, the responses come in a very timely and quick manner, so you're able to get the information that you want at your fingertips very easily. So I'll stop sharing my screen and head back to the PowerPoint, but feel free to leave any questions or any comments in the chat window, and we'll make sure to answer those. But I will reshare the screen with the PowerPoint. So thank you everyone for listening to that demo and how we can use Microsoft Graph on Explorer. I hope that was really helpful, and you can get started on querying the information that you need specific to known issues and product lifecycle. One of the main questions that we would like to hear from you all is what is the specific information you would like to see next in the Windows Updates API? Right now, we have known issues information as well as product lifecycle, and you can do a lot with that information, but we'd like to continue expanding this capability with other Windows release health information, and we'd like to hear from you all what is the next set of data that you'd like to see that would be helpful in your day-to-day. Awesome. So feel free to keep sending in those questions in the chat and those comments in the chat, and we'll take a look and respond.
Santoshi, considering the first studies we had, what would be viable options for next data set, like data sets and types of data? For instance, KB articles, content, or version numbers. Are there other sets that would be make sense for us to go next, and it would vary depending on the customer, the user's priority?
Yeah, so we have a big list of data sets that we'd really like to expose in Microsoft Graph. It's just the priority that we want to focus on based on what customers' needs are. So we have a list for a lot of media information, um, non-LCU information, KB article numbers, release notes, and all. We just need to kind of figure out the priority of our commercial customers and our IT admins that are using this information so that we can start implementing this into the Windows Updates API. We got a lot of feedback in the past year about for both known issues and product lifecycle being really integral parts of data sets that can be accessed programmatically by our users and by our IT admins. So we do have the knowledge and data sets available that we can start integrating into Microsoft Graph. We'd just like to hear from you all about what your priorities are in terms of the next few data sets related to Windows Release Health.
Awesome. And you can go over some of the questions. We are trying together. There's some questions about the consent. And I think for this one, I'm asking the team for more details for the permissions. What exactly does the permission gives access to? So there are two questions. One from Edward, and David Zelensky. For the David one, and we believe that the permission is just for the user login. And we can also, if we don't have time to answer those questions in this hour, we can also share it when you publish the video, the responses. I'm seeing, I think we answered most of the question. There's a question here, Santoshi. I don't know if you're gonna know from the top of your head. Are the queries case sensitive? If you use lowercase or
yes, the queries are case sensitive in this case. So for example, when I was showing servicing periods earlier, it was lowercase servicing and like uppercase for the P in periods. But it'll be clear when you start typing out these queries and when you look at the actual documentation that we have on the Microsoft Graph website, what the proper way of naming these queries are. So if you do get an error, or if you do get something that doesn't seem right, even though you're thinking you're typing this the correct thing, there may be a capital or lowercase issue, or something like what I did where it was supposed to be a comma, not a period. So the responses are pretty fast, so you can always keep trying until you get the appropriate response that you need. But I would just be careful when you're querying something, and there could be a small typo.
Yeah, Santoshi, thank you for the answer. Luca asked mentioned that it would be great to have build information related to KB. So we have the KB number identifier, but also the build information, more build information. And also Roger gave feedback that he want to see more conversations to use PowerShell, CMDL, Stindetless. I don't know how to pronounce this word in English, but how we can have this information in PowerShell as well. David Trosen mentioned that would be good also to see information about installed third-party apps that prevent Windows Update for Business service from running. So that would be known issues affecting Windows Update's business for service. If you have a documented compatibility, and this is something, it's good feedback that we can document more of those third-party compatibility issues. Usually when you have a compatibility issues related to a third party and we are waiting on a third party fix, usually those third parties are the ones who have the documentation. We try to link from our experience to the partner, but we can also work in replicating the documentation that the third party has on their website and our website too. And the way the API is set today is that anything we document on the Windows release health sites would show up on the queries in Graph API. Also, there is a question, Santosh, and I don't know if you're gonna know this one. We haven't talked about this yet. Can the API be integrated with Power BI for a report or application?
I am unsure of the specifics of that question. I believe that it should be able to, since it's programmatic information that you're getting, and that data you can use freely within other applications. But we will find out and get back to you about that in the recording.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
David asked if will driver in firmware updates also be listed? And this one we discussed it before. I had received this question, right? Even because we have some drivers and firmwares that are delivered via the Windows updates channel. So this is a question if those we will return information about these updates at this moment. And what we discussed at this moment, it doesn't. The information that is, the two data sets are about Windows updates, known issues, and Windows updates, lifecycle information, release information. We don't have this information for drivers yet. But we have teams in Microsoft that reach out to us interested also in provide non-Windows information for content that is delivered via the Windows updates release channel. Let me check more questions. Yeah, there is a request from David Newton. His suggestion that next you should explore having data on whether a specific vulnerability is being exploited in the wild. Usually this information is available on the CVEs, and you have our KV articles linking to the CVEs with this information of what are the specs of the vulnerability that we are aware of. So I think once you have the release notes and the roadmap, that's a possible integration that would be there. But this is a good suggestion, David. And we have received this feedback before that the information that we have on Windows updates and documentation is not very closely connected with the information Microsoft security team is releasing via CVEs and their website. So we have heard this feedback that our websites don't talk too much and you need to go to both. And that's good feedback that our API should also make this, make you connect the dots easily. What are the vulnerabilities that a Windows Update is addressing and have more information on those vulnerabilities. Let's see more. Also, there is a question to have a suggestion to have a list of assets in Defender classified as high severity due to missing updates. We haven't talked to the Defender team at this point, but that makes total sense too, something you can explore. And Cheyenne Masterson mentioned flagging more non-compatibility issues. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. That's definitely within the scope of the known issues list. And usually this compatibility list, we disclose more when we are close to a release or If it's a quality monthly release with more new features coming, making available, or our annual feature release. So those are the times you document more of these issues. But that's a great feedback that we can make sure we are transparent and this information is also on the Graph API. There is a specific question about 10S version number. There's nothing that the links for this. I'm gonna check, Anna. We're gonna check this information. You need to run this later. We'll also have another comments that we would like to see WOOFB status for each machine, especially for feature updates as to why they may not be sent to the client. That's a good point. Also, there's an anonymous comment. If a feature update's not being offered to a client, there is a possibility there is a safeguard holding information, and not all of those have been documented. This is a good feedback. This is also within the scope of what is already set to show in the Microsoft Graph API. It's just a matter of we documenting it, showing up on the Windows Release Help site, and also being available on the Graph API. Ryan, Santosh, Ryan's suggestion to see cumulative updates information for various product lines like Exchange and SQL. A feature where you can automatically use Graph to regularly check for cumulative updates availability and automatically notify my team when releases are detected. And
That's
this
a great point.
Yeah, I think this is something that our team is definitely viable for the Windows part. We need to reach out, as you know, Microsoft's a huge company, right? We need to reach out to the other teams, Exchange and SQL. But that's a good feedback. They might already be available, some of this information. We can check on that also to release this information once we have the deck. We can have a slide with those answers.
Yeah, we there is a lot of information on Microsoft Graph. And we'll link the documentation if it hasn't been linked already, but we will look into that for you to see if that's already available or something that we can look into for the future.
Yeah, Simon sent a suggestion. Could Windows Update installation errors be made available so that admins could get this data centrally from across the state? Yeah, and Francisco just answered. Usually those installation errors are documented as known issues on the Windows Release Health under the known issues pages. So they're gonna show up available. We just show the errors that are related to issue caused by a Windows update, but there are errors that are caused by the environment, if there is, or by the device, if there is not memory enough, or there's other limitations. Usually these we don't document as known issue, but we have some other documentation with most common Windows updates errors, and you can connect the message with the error. So that is something we also can explore, having more documentation off and also connections with other current sites that are not connected to the Graph API. But this is a good suggestion. Definitely that would save time. Steve suggested build numbers mapped to friendly names and release dates would be nice. Yes, that would be awesome. And then imagine by friendly names, we would call those, we call usually the updates by the month, if it's a security or a quality update. So we have some reports with this name. You could definitely keep a standard model. So we have frequently naming different reports across Microsoft product. There is an anonymous question asking if there is a post or set for notification per service for issues. That way you can set notifications to the Dynamics distribution group for dynamic issues. I can answer part of these questions. I don't know if Santoshi knows about any possibility to have notifications from Graph API. I'm sure you can build, use that data to build your own notifications. But currently, we have, if you have access to the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, we have the service health dashboard where we have documented issues related and incidents and outage related to multiple Microsoft 365 cloud services. And you can set up for emails there and to receive alerts. You can only add 2 distribution lists. So unfortunately, it's kind of the same distribution lists, even though different teams may take care of different products. And you also have the Windows Release Health on the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, this section. And you also can sign up for notifications for known issues for the Windows versions you are interested. But today, with these data sets, we are not releasing any specific notification, email notification with the Graph API. Santoshi, you know other products that have been doing that or possibilities here?
Yeah, I think I'm not aware of the other products that have been doing that, but I do believe that this can be something that we can look into for the future. We just have to kind of do some research and digging on some examples that we can find.
Awesome.
Yep.
I'm seeing David also shared as an MSP. We get a lot of devices previously managed before we took them over, and we need to perform exorcism on them to get them into clean state for Intune MDM management regarding third-party apps and information with the Wolfbee service. Yeah, that's a good call too about the compatibility with third app parties. So more information will help you to keep those devices health for MDM management. Thanks, David. More another phrase, please add the build numbers to the quality updates catalog entries. That's Annon's suggestions. Also, there is a suggestion for improving our documentation. Anonymous suggestions. Can you have Windows queries added in the initial documentation for Graph API? We have some queries shared on the Windows IT Pro blog, but I think we can also make them available on the documentation page on Microsoft Learn.
Yeah, that's something definitely that we can add, especially because we are in beta right now. So the suggestions and feedback is very welcome. We have documentation right now with all of those different filters, like if it's in service or not, general availability date, end of servicing date, all those different filters for each of the different resources that we provide. But we will work on creating a documentation page that will have some example queries for you all. There are a few that exist on the page, but they're very specific to the specific queries, like get known issue by time range, find by product ID, all those kinds of things, but maybe some complicated and simple queries that we can add into the introduction page that could benefit you all as well. So we will look into that and make sure that's something that's reflected.
Awesome. I'm not seeing other questions here that you have or suggestions that you could have an answer right now, but so far a lot of great suggestions, great questions, and great feedback. And we're going to make sure that as we share the slides, we're going to take today we're going to update this video in 1 or 2 days, and we can also share the slide and include the information of the questions you could answer now, especially if it's related to other teams. You need to reach out and to see what they have to share and what's in their roadmap, but we'll be happy to do that. So Santosh, if you go to the next slide, I think we have some also links. Yeah, those are other information resources and links for websites where you can find information about Windows updates. As I mentioned, the release notes are our most solid and main documentation for Windows updates. I mentioned the Windows Release Health on Microsoft Learn several times, and Francisco is sharing a bunch of those links as well. I also have the link here in the presentation to share with you of the Windows Release Help from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. The difference between these two experience on the public website and Microsoft Learn and in the Admin Center is that the Admin Center has more information on commercial customers, known issues, and have more complex workaround that usually would not make public because some people could harm their device and trying to implement some of this. So the Microsoft 365 Admin Center has a premium experience with more content about the Windows, more reminders in the Message Center, and also more known issues documented. We have the Windows IT Pro blog where we announce new resources for Windows IT admins, including the Graph API. That's where you make the main post about this tool. We also have the Windows IT Pro Twitter handle, the Windows Updates Twitter handle. If you want to see, we're always amplifying the new release there. And if there is a big known issue or a big end of servicing, we also amplify this content there. We have the tech community as well, Microsoft Tech Community. We have a Windows 11 forum. You can share your questions as a space for the community to exchange ideas. You have the Windows 10 and other forums there as well. You have Windows Help and Learn and Microsoft Support. We have the bunch of technical documentation for Windows Client and Server in Microsoft Learn, and also have the Windows community in YouTube. So those are other good channels for you to keep up with all the information. Yeah, and Francisco shared those links here, so you don't have to wait until the next until we upload this video and this is live. So we are gonna give you a few minutes back. I see that David mentioned another issue just before you close. We often get issues where users in Intune are set to get latest Windows 11 updates, but their device have compatibility issues. The Windows updates health reports in Intune can be helpful here, but not as a direct. So there is a question if you can get that to allow support person to enter the model number and make the Windows device, and where shown the specific compatibility issue preventing the update. We can explore that. Some of the issues documented show the main messages, but I don't think they have the list of the specific devices. I don't think you have this level of report yet, but I can follow up with the team that would take care of the compatibility reports. Sorry, David, I don't have an answer now. So thanks everybody for joining us. Very excited to see you using this tool. Please keep using the tech community website to provide feedback. And that's all for me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Santoshi. Thank you, Raquel.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mabel.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good